Hello, folks. Richard Moore, USAGSA. And I've got a good one for you today. I always say I believe they're all good. I've got Michelle Jarrett with me from the San Antonio, Mississippi area. And we've got a real story here about the death of her son and the cover up and the dismissal and it being ignored, etc., by law enforcement. And before I get into that, I want to remind everybody, and it's imperative, to subscribe to our channel and to share our content and to share it relentlessly. In the description of the video, you'll find our link tree, and you click that, and within that link tree, that will give you the links to our some of our other platforms, blogs, and we have a lot of I write a lot of good stuff. I feel like it's good stuff, and share a lot of breaking and informative information to cover usually the topics that we cover here on this channel. Also, we'll have a GoFundMe and different links, PayPal, Chime, Cash App, etc., where you can support USAGSA. We're totally 100% supported by listeners and viewers. Without you, we can't do what we're doing. I also encourage you, if you enjoy what we're doing and appreciate what we're doing, you can become a part of this by becoming a Patreon, and that link is in there as well. And that gives you direct access to myself and to the information that we're putting on various platforms. You get it all in one place, and you can pick and choose. But most importantly, by being a Patreon, you're supporting and helping us continue to do what we're doing. And we need to do more. But without your support, we're handicapped. So today is payday for a lot of people. So we appreciate you doing something and do the best that you can do. So this story is coming out of Olive Branch, Mississippi. It's just right across the line from Memphis. And it's essentially a bedroom community, a suburb of Memphis, if you will, but it's in Mississippi. And on May 24th, 2023, is when this happened, just a tad over a year ago. Thomas Patrick, Michelle's son, was killed. And she's going to give the details of this, but the short of this is after he was at a friend's house in a just a average to medium subdivision housing development there in Olive Branch. I'm familiar with it. I've been in that area many times, and this is a middle class America. And it wasn't a trap house, wasn't a dope house. Had some friends there. He was staying up there and working and so forth. And he lay dead in the bedroom, a bedroom in that house, my understanding, several hours, most of the day. He was injected with a lethal dose of fentanyl. Now, occasionally, Thomas did use drugs. To anybody's knowledge, fentanyl was never one of them. And the next thing is Thomas was deathly afraid of needles, even as an adult, trying to give him a shot of any sort. He would kick and scream like a 6-year-old. He absolutely had an uncanny and a deathly fear of needles. So we'll lay that groundwork there. And this individual that Michelle's going to tell you about, I don't know if he was staying there or not. Michelle will tell you, is a rat snitch working for local law enforcement. I've covered it 1,000,000 times. I'm going to continue to cover it. They allow these snitches to stay high and have drugs. They support their habits. That's how they keep them on the program. They also tolerate and sanction crimes, including murder. And when they mess around and kill someone on purpose or on accident, either way, I believe this is 100% deliberate, willful murder, simply because Thomas made the comment. I believe he may have told you, Michelle, I don't know. He told somebody. He said, if something ever happens to me, don't listen to what they're telling you. It's a lie. And the individual, he named his name, is the one that will do it. And lo and behold, those were prophetic words. The investigators at Olive Branch Police Department, folks, this is a disgrace. They said it's a overdose. Didn't want to hear anything from Michelle. The coroner is parroting what the investigator said. And Chief Cox, the chief of police there in Olive Branch, and this falls squarely on his shoulders, has yet to rear his head or give anything. He has not tried to console Michelle. He's not offered anything other than the fact it's a closed case. She did a Freedom of Information FOIA request on this deal. They gave her 2 pieces of paper, and I've given you more than what they've given her, I believe. She wanted all of it. And they told her, and I quote, well, you're going to have to get a lawyer to get all of it. And that was just completely dismissing her and refusing to cooperate and assist a citizen in the death and the unexplained death of her son. And this reminds me of Zach Massey. I did that story about 2.5 years ago in Monroe County, Mississippi. And it was similar circumstances. And his mother, Shelley, is still yet to talk to the sheriff. They keep staying with the same narrative about his death. But the common thread that runs through these, Zach is not the only one, and Thomas Patrick's is not the only one. The synonymous thread, ladies and gentlemen, that runs through these cases is easily dismissed by criminals with badges, from folks from the outside looking in that dare question and demand transparency. Then their storyline is this: they were on dope, the dope house, and they did too much, they overdosed, end of discussion. And so John Q. Public said, well, okay, well, you know what's best, and you're the expert, and I'm just the taxpayer, and I'm the one putting you in here, and I'm just going to believe anything you say, and they run with it. That's the first synonymous thread. The second one is when it is obvious that there's foul play, which it's very obvious in this case with Thomas Patrick in Olive Branch, Mississippi, in May of 2023. It hadn't been investigated. It's not being investigated. But we're here today to talk about it and demand that it be investigated. We're going to put Chief Cox on the hot seat and see what he's got to say about it. It's his job right now to refer this to Lynn Fisher's office. And maybe for pomp and circumstance, they'll at least pretend like that they're doing some sort of investigation. There's been a murder. We know who the murderer is. We knew who the murderer was going to be before the killing took place. That second thread is when this person or person dies, whatever story is, suicide, overdose, etc., or they were playing with a gun. You know, I can go on and on. The story will never change other than the victim is at fault. Nothing else to see here, ladies and gentlemen. Move right along. Why is that? Because these are your confidential informants. I affectionately refer to these confidential informants as rats, snitches, haters, and deplorables. They protect them. Loose lips sink ships. And they don't want their rats, their bread and butters, having to suffer any kind of repercussions for these crimes that these criminals with badges have sanctioned. All right, Michelle, I think I've tried to cover most of it. And so this is Thomas's mother, Michelle, and she's it's in a horrible situation. I told her yesterday that no parent should ever have to outlive their child. And in Michelle's case, she's outlived two, one in a tragic car accident, and then the murder of her son. What say you, Michelle? Tell us what happened. You got a call that day. Take us back to the day you got that dreadful phone call.
I didn't get a phone call.
Okay.
I had Tate County deputy pull up and ask me if I knew Patrick Thomas, and I said, "You mean Thomas Patrick?"
Pull just a little closer, Michelle. Sorry, pull this a little closer to that your device. Where, okay.
Now,
so you had a deputy pull up.
A Tate County deputy pull up and asked me if I knew Patrick Thomas, and I said, "You mean Thomas Patrick?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Yeah, that's my son. What's happened? Did he do something?" Because Tom's never been in trouble, ever.
Never been in trouble.
Never. And he said, he's dead. That was his words. And of course,
this was the DeSoto County Sheriff?
No, it was Tate County. They sent.
Oh, you're in Tate County?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that was classy. Go ahead.
And so he told me that. And of course, I knew right off the bat that the boy had done it to my son. And I told that sheriff deputy that. And he said, I don't know. They're saying something about an overdose. You need to call Olive Branch Police Department. So I did. And they told me they didn't know what had happened, but they thought it was an accidental overdose. And I said, there ain't no way. There's no way. 3 weeks before he killed Thomas.
Your relationship with your son, Michelle, was it a close relationship? I mean, would he talk to you about anything and tell you if he was using drugs? He told you he's used drugs. How he used them? He
told me that he had snorted meth, and he never would have used a needle ever. He's terrified of a needle.
I believe you.
So when they told me that, I just couldn't believe it, and I don't believe it right now. I'll never believe it. But 3 weeks before he killed him, Thomas came in and he told me, "Mama, if anything ever happens to me, you better know I didn't do it, that Cooper did it."
Cooper, what's Cooper's last name?
Foster.
Cooper Foster. He said, if anything happens to me, Cooper did it. Why did he believe this?
Because Cooper had told him he was going to do that, told him how he would do it, and that was inject Thomas while he was asleep with fentanyl and kill him. And I begged Thomas then, stay away from him. He's not your friend. Please stay away from him. Well, month to 6 weeks before he killed Thomas, he made a Facebook post that said, how can I get rid of Thomas? Any suggestions?
Okay. So let me stop you right there. So Cooper, what was the last name again?
Foster.
Cooper Foster made a Facebook post 3 weeks prior to this.
Yes.
3 weeks. How can it wasn't suggestion? Now Facebook is the devil's playground. This is where all these perps and snitches and rats and police with drag queen names like Sydney Anderson down at Lowndes County troll and thrive and communicate. And God forbid anybody get on there with face slapping facts like myself. They just absolutely go berserk. So we know that when they make these posts for everybody's information, even though they make a post and delete it, that with a search warrant, and we know it's not hard to get a search warrant. They draw them up, and the judge has already got the blanks in their sign. They don't care, and Facebook will surrender the metadata connected to that account, even on deleted posts and messages. That metadata is still there, available, especially 3 weeks off from it being deleted. But they didn't do this, did they?
It was more like 4 to 6 weeks prior to him killing Thomas.
Okay.
But he had made that post, and Thomas J had screenshots of it on his phone.
Where's his phone?
And his phone is with me now.
And do you still have those screenshots?
I can't get into his phone. I don't know the password.
Is it an iPhone or Android?
It's an iPhone.
It's an iPhone. Oh, well, good luck with that.
But Thomas had the screenshots. He went up to my mother's house. He showed my sister and my brother the screenshots that Cooper had posted. Well, then he deleted them, of course. But Tom still had those screenshots in his phone. After the fact, when I went to pick up, they told me to come get his car. I had just seen his car the day before because Tom said came home on the 23rd. He came home and helped me, and then he left again. His car was not trashed. He had a new car. He loved that car. When I went to pick it up, they told me bring a mask and wear gloves because it was full of tinfoil where they.
So while he was in there laying dead or dying, they were in his car.
They were in his car doing
crashing it, and that's what these devils do, folks. They're nasty. That's one of the signs. When you going anywhere where these crash dummy junkies are huddled up, then filth and the devil is present. It's going to be nasty, syringes and squalor that stagger the imagination. So his car was trashed. So they told you to wear gloves and a mask.
Yes. And so when I got home and I started emptying his car out at my garbage can, the big Tate County garbage can, I filled it full.
You got to be kidding me.
It's to the top full of, it was tinfoil that they had been smoking fentanyl on. There was a pipe in a pouch that had dope in it.
Yeah.
And when the police seen all of this.
Our police didn't care. They don't care. I mean, more like it came from them anyway.
I was told to wear masks and gloves. So we filled up the garbage can, brought Thomas J's car down here to the house. And I would call this man all the time, the detective.
What was his name again?
Waldron.
Walter, Detective Walter. That's right. I got a copy of his card.
He told me they were doing a dump of Thomas J's phone because of the messages and screenshots.
They was going to do what?
I'm sorry?
They was going to do what to Thomas's phone?
They were going to do a dump on it and
a dump on it.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they couldn't get in it then, could they?
They could not get in it.
Well,
the
I bet there's somebody watching this that knows somebody that can get into it. Holler at me. This deal's not over.
Cooper knew the password, and he would not give it to him. They kept saying he didn't know it, but he did know it. He also was on. My son died at 8:30. I had called and texted, and someone was on Thomas's phone, and it was about 10:30, 11 in the morning. But Thomas J had passed at 8:30. They didn't call the law over there. It's after 2 o'clock that evening.
So when do you think, or when is it presumed that they gave him that fatal shot? In that morning about 8:30?
8:30 is when he passed, yes.
And so they waited till 2:30.
Around 2:15.
I wonder what, I mean, they're knowing the whole time he's dead. So they're getting high, riding around, talking to their handler. He's probably telling them, here's the play. Go back to the house. I'm just guessing on this, folks. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm good at it. I've been doing this way too long. So they get back and they call and of course I don't know how he's not responsive or he's dead. And did they send the ambulance out?
Yeah, around 2:15, somewhere around in that area.
Okay.
Yeah. They never found the tile or the syringe. Never found it.
Yeah, of course not.
The detective told me that.
Well, that's strange. So if you take a shot of fentanyl, folks, especially a lethal shot,
Right.
you're not going to have your faculties to be able to say, okay, let me dispose of this syringe and go over here and lay down and be high or die. So it's clear that there's one not there that somebody else gave him the shot, whether it was voluntarily or involuntarily. That puts the person that administers the shot in the hot seat, but the person that administers the shot is the rat, and they know this. So then what happened?
Well, I continuously call every day. There's also been text messages from the girls that lived in the house, her house. There's been text messages where the story changed. Cooper was no longer down there with her. Cooper was upstairs the whole day with my son. The story's changed. So I sent all those text messages to the detective. Never heard a word from him. Not a word. The story has changed, I think, 3 times.
Now there was a girl there that was texting you, telling one story, right?
She was texting Thomas J's friend, and she had a totally different story from last year in May. Her story has changed tremendously.
Of course, it's an ever evolving story, but the story that at this point that Olive Branch Police Department's telling has not changed. And folks, it never does. Once they give their story, that's it. Move right along. We're not going to change it. Don't care what kind of evidence, and we don't have to. And I promise you, I had trouble finding a couple of newspapers. They printed his obituary, but there was no. Was there any news articles or anything about this?
No.
None.
No.
Okay, none. And so much for the commercial appeal. I don't know what they're doing other than selling bird cage liners. And you had a couple of papers around there that printed the obituary, and that's it. Folks, it's end of discussion.
The coroner told me the detective told me I needed to speak with the coroner. So I did. And I told
What's
him,
the coroner's name?
His name is Josh Pounders.
Josh who?
Pounders.
Bounders.
Pounders with a P.
Pounders.
Yes.
Okay. Is he still the coroner?
Yes.
Okay.
He told me that, ma'am, you can't tell me your son was at a house full of drug addicts and he wasn't doing drugs.
Oh, so he's an expert. There we go. He probably goes to First Ebenezer Baptist Church there in Olive Branch, where they've got a Freemason as a preacher. And so he's guilty by association. And it wasn't a trap house. It wasn't a dope house. And so what? If there were some individuals in there that was getting high, the main culprit that was there was a state actor working for the police department. So my question has been to him, you can't tell me that this stooge, crash dummy rat that the police is providing dope with and letting him commit crimes couldn't have had something to do with it. But what's the coroner know? I mean, all the coroners, it's a low bar in Mississippi to be a coroner. I think you have to take a couple of classes and watch somebody perform a taxidermy, and then get elected, you're a coroner.
Well, I begged that man to do this investigation. I begged the detectives to do an investigation because there's a lot to it. My son just didn't come home.
What did they say when you said, why aren't you doing an investigation? What are they saying? There's nothing to investigate? We already know what happened?
There's nothing to investigate.
Almost like they were there, wasn't it? I mean, if they're not investigating it, then they're convinced that their story's right. It's almost as if they were there. So if they wasn't there, then surely there'd be some kind of investigation. But if they were there, ladies and gentlemen, they were there by proxy. And this Cooper Foster was the proxy.
Cooper's had 2 Schedule 2 drug charges. Controlled
That's
substance.
what's on his record. And no telling.
And
His rap sheet would be 100 miles long if he was charged with the crimes he was committing.
Lots of things. He's been charged. He's been in jail on and off ever since he turned 18.
Yeah.
But the drug charges, he's never been to court over either one. And one of them was 3 years ago.
No, he's not going to go to court. He will one of these days when they get tired of him. Hopefully, we will not only upset the apple cart. I've had people, Michelle, tell me, well, you know, you're rocking the boat here. And I'm saying, I'm not trying to rock the boat. I'm trying to turn the corrupt thing over and dump it out. And this is the only way we do it, folks, is by naming these names and let you get the real story, the rest of the story, and let you realize these people that are posing for pictures and they run their department, their agency off a Facebook page, and they're quick to tell you, there's a tornado coming, lightning might be striking tomorrow, a roadblock, we arrested somebody, and seldom, folks, seldom. The reality is just like the FBI admitted this a couple of years ago, that it's difficult for them to solve a crime that they did not create. That's a fact. Google it. That's a real thing. And the same goes for Olive Branch Police Department. They couldn't organically probably solve any kind of crime. Somebody would have to do something stupid and fall right into their hands. Just dumb luck. But when they create a crime, they can solve it when they set somebody up, and they do solve it. And as far as they're concerned, they've solved this crime of Thomas Patrick's murder and called it an accidental overdose. Now, you serve them with a freedom of information request. Tell us about that.
When I asked for a police report. Went over there, asked for the police report. They handed me 2 pages. Most of it was redacted. The witness statements were redacted on it. And I said, is this it? She said, no. I said, well, I would like the whole file. And she said, no, ma'am, you want that? You got to hire a lawyer.
Who said that?
The lady at Olive Branch Police Department.
You ain't got her name, have you?
I do not, but she runs the front desk right there.
Yeah. Well, get her name. Well, we can make sure she gets credit for her stupidity.
Oh, the detective also said the same thing. Yeah. Anything else I wanted, I had to hire a lawyer. And I'm like, it's public record. Why should I have to hire a lawyer? It's public information.
Well, this have you retained an attorney or talked with an attorney about this?
I have not.
Is there a reason why?
I simply cannot afford one.
Can't afford it. And folks, is that what it comes down to in America? Is that the brass tacks? You can't have justice or due process unless you've got money. Right. You can hire a land shark to take that money from you to deal with these other land sharks. So you paid taxes and worked your whole life, I assume, you're a property owner. And but before this happened, Michelle, was you under the assumption that law enforcement and your tax dollars and all these agencies and all these rules of law, all these things in place, that if something bad happened somewhere, that they somehow would take care of it? Was you under that false assumption?
Yes, I was.
Do you believe that now?
No, I don't. I have absolutely nothing for law enforcement anymore. They
folks,
absolutely.
It's here's what I support. I get a lot of people say, well, I support the blue and blah blah blah. And folks, I'm gonna tell you what I support. Okay, other than Alabama Crimson Tide, is that Constitution. And the civil liberties of American citizens. That's what I support. Now, if you support that thing that I support, that Constitution, our civil liberty, and the rule of law, and you believe that justice is blind and every single American citizen has got that right equally, and you have committed to defend that and protect that, I support you. But when you swear an oath and lie with your hand on a Bible that you've never read and swear to a God you don't believe in to protect the Constitution that you think is a piece of garbage, I'm going to tell you, I don't support you. I've got a whole lot of things to say about you, a whole lot of ways I feel about you. And hundreds and thousands of Americans, sons and daughters, have died and bled out and gave their life for us to have that in 2024. And when you test a lie, criminal with badge, when you skew and bend the law and break the law and operate in these illegal gray areas, you are pathetic, traitor, and enemy of the state. There's where I stand. And now everybody, I want to be, you're clear on where I stand on this position. And so I think I'm speaking for a lot of people. And I know I'm speaking for Michelle. So nothing's been done, Michelle. And
No.
What in your daily life now, the loss of Thomas, how hard does that weigh on you?
It's pretty bad. Ain't a minute that it doesn't come to my mind. I think about it 24/7. That they killed my son. I don't have him anymore. And they've gotten by with it.
They got away with it. I really, I'm just at a loss for words, Michelle. I mean, there's, folks, there's nothing that anybody can say that that is going to change the way Michelle feels, the way she feels. And we can't blame God. Let me tell you, folks, God did not make this happen. And God has his own divine power of how he does things. We won't have those answers, all the answers, until we're face to face with him. And I'm satisfied that it'll all make sense. But right now, we have to give the devil his dues. And this program of these confidential informant snitches, stalking and terrorizing hundreds and thousands of American citizens across this country is nothing but the work of corruption and the work of evil. Excuse me, Michelle? Are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
And it's my prayers go out to you, Michelle. I've done a number of stories along this line. I mentioned Zach Massey in Monroe County, and then we can't forget Tyler Hall in Lowndes County. And they claim Tyler, he was across the street, and it was at a gathering. Claimed he was playing Russian roulette and accidentally blew his brains out. The gun was about 15 feet from him when law enforcement finally got there. I don't know how you do that and then get up and move the gun. And all the people that were guests that witnessed all this were all told to leave. They all left. None of them questioned. And Lowndes County Sheriff's Department ruled it as an accidental death. End of story. I've said it then. I'm saying it now. It was a murder and a cover up. And these people are in Eddie Hawkins, the sheriff down there, is in their pocket. Same deal, Monroe County. Well, the sheriff won't even give the decency of a return phone call and telling the mother, leave us alone and quit calling. That's more or less what Olive Branch did. They insinuate you need to leave them alone and let it go.
Pretty much, yes. I needed to just let it go. Well, I'm not going to let it go.
No, we're not letting it go. Of course not. And folks, it's a mountain. It's a mountain. When you have these kind of things happen, Michelle, it's you're thinking the very people that I thought and expect to be there and to do something are the very people that are slamming the door in my face.
Yeah.
Why are they doing this, folks? I'm telling you why. They're protecting a murdering, thieving, snitching rat. And that is Connor Foster. Is it Connor? Cooper Foster. Cooper Foster. And so buyer beware. Anywhere in North Mississippi, West Tennessee. Cooper Foster darkens your door. You are dealing with a person that will go to any lengths to destroy you by any means necessary. And on top of that, they got the criminals with badges to back his play 100%. Now, that should make everybody feel nice and safe in that part of the country, knowing that we've got a murderer on the streets with carte blanche on crimes and no checks and balances. That's why we're holding this Chief Cox responsible for this, Michelle. And we're going to send a clear message to Chief Cox that this deal is not over. And you got my word on it, Michelle, that this is not over. And I'm sending a clear message to Lynn Fitch's office. And believe this, Michelle, there's probably more members of law enforcement pay attention to what we're doing on this channel than people that are not law enforcement. Not because they're fans, because they want the heads up on their snitches and rats getting put on blast and want to know how to do damage control before it hits the fan. That's all the reason they're on there. They absolutely despise what we're doing. They hate free speech. They hate transparency, and they hate the truth. God forbid anybody tell it like it is. Michelle, is there anything else that I know you got some notes there, and I don't want us to forget anything. If there's something else that you feel like we need to add to this, give it to me. Anything else you can think of?
Since in the past year, Cooper has OD'd twice. He had my address as his address on his driver's license. So I received this letter from South Haven Fire Department, and it had to the parents of no name. I opened it up, and it's a bill because he had OD'd. I got two.
Who'd you get a letter from saying he OD'd?
South Haven Fire Department sent me a letter saying
South Haven Fire Department.
Parents of, and when I opened them, it was Cooper had OD'd, and they had to do life-saving measures to bring him back. And it was
Narcan. What was he doing? Why are they sending it to your address?
He has my address on his driver's license. Yeah.
Why?
That's what I kept telling the Olive Branch Police Department, same thing. Why does he have it? And that should be a crime. He doesn't live.
No, I mean, hey.
So he was
homeless. He lives with you and you didn't even know it. How about that?
Yeah, well, never.
I can promise you one thing, Michelle. That may look like an innocuous, innocent letter from the fire department, but here's the deal on that. The fire departments are just as deeply embedded in this stalking criminal enterprise as the police and the rats. And they have real-time data. And I promise you, their handlers know exactly where that boy lives. And they know good and damn well that he don't live with you.
Yes.
So, as something to further terrorize you and run you up under a rock, they're going to send you a letter on your son's murderer, informing you that he'd overdosed or whatever.
Yes.
And that is a sick, diabolical tactic they're using against the victim's mother, ladies and gentlemen. That's all that is. That's not a simple typo. And who knew the fire department was sending out letters? But that fire department's doing a whole bunch of things that you don't know they're doing. We've just learned something new today. You still got that letter?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
Send me a copy of it.
okay.
Yeah. South Haven Fire Department, here we come. Let's see about these. I think it's funny. And I don't think a bit of this is humorous. Anything else, Michelle?
No, I just want justice for Thomas James Patrick.
Do what?
I want justice for Thomas
Amen.
James.
We all want justice. And folks, no matter the cost or the time that it takes. Now, Michelle's already told she can't afford, she shouldn't have to be able to afford the attorney. We're going to hopefully send a message to Attorney General Lynn Fitch's office. She's the chief law enforcement officer of this state. That's not saying much, so I'm going to tell you, she is the chief and co-signer on high crimes and misdemeanors in this state, especially if they got a badge and they done somebody down. I've reported on too many of them, folks. Cold-blooded murder by law enforcement on unarmed citizens. She will go the extra mile to make sure that official is left alone, not prosecuted. Let it go. Moving right along. So we need some change across this country, but especially in this state. Michelle, I appreciate it. And you get me a copy of that letter. And we're going to expose this, and we're going to expose it relentlessly. I'm not going to forget about it. We're not going to just do this and move on to the next thing. It's going to be there, and I encourage other people that are seeing this, do your part. Share this story. You contact your state senator, your local politicians, and let them know that we can't allow this kind of behavior with these officials, especially where they're rogue, confidential informants, dope addict, thieving, criminal thugs out here killing people and being swept under the rug. There's no amount of money, Michelle, could ever change this. I think Michelle and that family deserves, folks, justice. And they deserve to see her killer, her son's killer, brought to justice, prosecuted, and sent to the gas chamber. I think would be the best option for somebody like that. The gas chamber or the electric chair. I don't know what they do in Mississippi. Or if they're doing anything. Sitting on death row for 100 years. But anyway, this is what we want. Michelle, I appreciate you. And God bless you. You're in our prayers. Other people are praying for you. And I'm just trust God, Michelle, because it's been a little over a year. You hadn't been heard. This story hadn't been told, but it has now.
Thank
So
you.
we're making headway, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, folks, until next time, God bless you.